This isn't futurism. This is purely a practitioner with a point of view. I spend my days actually building AI systems for brands, automations, agents, workflows, models trained on their own data, the real stuff that actually lives inside a business, achieving efficiency, not just a shiny PowerPoint presentation. So, the next 10 or so minutes, the idea was 1 minute per hat, one hat per lens on next year. They're not predictions. They're 10 angles you probably should want to understand heading into 2026, whether you're a business owner, a senior manager inside your business, or looking to achieve efficiency. Uh, these angles, opinions of mine will help arm you for those boardroom conversations that are going to happen. And if they're not already happening, I'd be asking questions as to why, but will help you take charge in that arena. Some of it's going to be pretty uncomfortable. Some of it's going to be pretty obvious, but all of it is pragmatic. None of it is hype. And if it is uncomfortable, I'm not here to stroke your head and tell you everything's going to be okay. You need to catch up. Simple as that. I'm not here to sell you tools. I'm not here to sell you fear. I'm not even here to sell you on Brave. This is purely the operation manual I wish every business leader had before they book in a chat with me, because I often send them away to do these things before they come back. So let's get into it. Hat one, the legal hat. So, legal hat, notoriously not a very fun hat to wear, especially if you're not a lawyer. So, I thought I'd spice it up and wear my Yatla Pies bucket hat. If you are not familiar with Yatla Pies, step one, go to Yatla. It's in Queensland. It's a great place. Step two, go to Yatla Pies. Step three, order a Yatla Pie. Your taste buds will thank you. Anywho, if you thought the 2024 Privacy Act amendments were done, unfortunately not quite. So from 10th of December 2026, anything that you automate that affects a customer needs to be publicly explainable. So if you're using an automation in a way that wouldn't survive daylight, a lot of you are, like, come on, you've got 12 months to fix it. Don't say I didn't warn you. And while that's happening, Canberra has quietly shifted gears. So a dedicated AI Act is probably not going to happen. Instead, the government's gone for the Australian classic of wrapping AI into the laws we already have, which is great because most of our laws are from over decades ago. And what they've done is publish guidance that slowly becomes expectation. The National AI Centre has already replaced the old 10 guardrails with 6 core practices. They're a Google away. Go search for them, go find them, see if you're up to scratch. They're voluntary on paper, but let's be honest, once the Australian government publishes a guidance, it's going to become the baseline whether you like it or not. And if we saw anything from the Privacy Act amendments where fines are leaning into the territory of $50 million or 30% of adjusted turnover is anything to go by, we're years away from some harsher regulation on misuse of AI. I just think the government needs to understand it first. And the best part of all of this is that this year the Productivity Commission came out and said the impact to the Australian economy is going to be $116 billion and an uplift of just under 4.5%. So naturally, the government's response is, well, that's far too productive. We better take the life out of it. So I think what you'll see next year is some of these principles and guidance and recommendations of being compliant with AI turn into a little bit of a harsher do this or else. So what you can do right now to get ahead of it is start being compliant. Now, what does compliance mean in the context of AI? It depends on your business, depends on how you're using it. Privacy Act 1988 with the 2024 amendments, really good place to start. Now, I don't expect anyone to go and read a Privacy Act, but what you can do, go get the Act, go get the amendments, plug it into your own custom GPT, and then quiz it. Send it your URL, send it your current automations, and then ask it, are we compliant? Give me the top 10 things that we need to do to become compliant, and start there. It's like having your own dedicated privacy lawyer or AI lawyer, so to speak, even though there's not really too much concrete regulation to go by yet. at your fingertips. Retrofitting compliance is a pain in the ass, so definitely recommend getting ahead of it. And if you are living in the grey area of your current use of AI and automation, yeah, 2026 is probably going to shine a pretty bright light on that. So get ahead of it. The advertising hat, and deliberately wearing a cowboy hat, I recently acquired on a trip to Texas, talking to a lot of American companies about how they're leveraging and using AI. Advertising and AI in 2026. So, large language model ads are coming, whether anyone likes it or not. And deliberately wearing the cowboy hat for this, because if a new advertising channel being released is anything to go by, it's going to be like the Wild Wild West, as per usual. Lots of experts, minimal case studies, and the good thing though is that typically it brings with it a lot of cheap inventory, while the platform themselves gets the model right. So you can be first. ChatGPT, speaking first, proved what being first to market can do. So it might not be the best model. It's definitely not the cheapest, but it completely changed how we search for information. And it's about to change how we shop. We've just seen in December Shopping Research Assistant released. That's free. That's, just using its underlying model. But what we're seeing in America is, take Walmart, for example. They are the United States' biggest by human headcount employer. They've put a freeze on human hiring and they're going all in on AI. So you can now find their products, check out inside ChatGPT. That's not a prototype. That is live commerce happening in ChatGPT. On the other side, you've got SEO. So SEO still exists. AEO, Answer Engine Optimization, or GEO, I personally prefer AEO, isn't part of your strategy. You are behind. Like, that's just a fact, unfortunately. Catch up. There are lots of things you can do. A lot of the traditional SEO practices still apply. But what we are seeing is just Google it has quietly become, just throw it into ChatGPT for a big chunk of people who traditionally would head to Google. So we're in this zero-click future where, large language models give recommendations, not results. And depending on the studies, somewhere between 20 and 30%, depending on which one you want to look at and trust, of searches that once started on Google are now starting inside an LLM, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, you name it. So that's a behavior shift, not a trend. Getting back to LLM advertising in 2026, it will release. I'm very confident on that. I, of course, don't have an open chat with Sam Altman, but from just a little bit of reading, you can get a pretty good guide that it will release in 2026. And it's a really interesting, different beast, because you're not inserting ads between results. You're inserting ads into recommendations. Now, how the ads look, how they feel, the buying mechanism, no one has the answers to that yet. But you're trying to override a model that's objectively better at recommending products. So you can erode trust fast. So it'll be really interesting to see how they handle this. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has openly said he hates Google-style pay-to-rank ads, but he's also equally admitted that he will try ads at some point. In their most recent financial projections for next year, they have advertising revenue as a key part of their revenue makeup. So it's happening. The only question is, what form is it going to take, and is it right for your brand? Will it be sponsored prompts, sponsored answers? Buying access to specific intents is one thing I think we could see. But equally, if Sam Altman has his say, being so against the traditional way of paying to rank number one for whatever keyword it is, it'll be really interesting to see if, for example, you need a certain AEO score to enable that category to be unlocked to actually bid on. So AEO, SEO becoming more important than ever. It was always incredibly important, but does it become more important? Maybe not, because that would limit their revenue model. Either way, we're going to see LLM ads, especially ChatGPT ads, launch. I would say probably by March in the United States, probably on a closed beta. But by the end of the year, I dare say you'll have access to log in and create your own ads. The Other thing that is really interesting in 2026, we've seen it a little bit in 2025, but agentic end-to-end campaign management, where it comes up with creative, the copy, the bids, the budget, the messaging, the targeting, especially, is going to be rolled out as the second coming of Jesus by a lot of SaaS companies. I think you'll see a lot of marketers put it very quickly back in their box, both agency and in-house side. Some of them exist at the moment, but the marketing definitely outpaces the actual reality of what the platforms can do. So really, really interesting in the advertising space in 2026. If you are currently investing budget into search ads like on repeat, and a lot of your leads or sales come from whether it's PMAX or traditional search ads, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't trial it. It just comes down to how you can trial it with what they release and what they allow. If they just go the proven method of sponsored answers, sponsored prompts, which kind of mirrors, the traditional search ad buying mechanism and display from traditional search engines in a 2026 LLM environment, then it'll be obviously good for them from a revenue angle, but for you, it'll be lower upheaval of transitioning from your current platforms to the new platforms. What's also interesting is ChatGPT, OpenAI having such a healthy stake from Microsoft. It will be really interesting to see if they build their own backend or if they leverage the Microsoft advertising platform. So, a couple of things you can do. Focus on, even though I know might seem counterintuitive for a lot of media buyers out there, but get your AEO and SEO presence in a high trust spot. I mean, you've only got a certain amount of months, and we all know SEO takes time and AEO takes time. So do what you can to build more trust and more links, more credible links, and more online dedicated PR to your website. And other than that, might not hurt to just brush up on those Microsoft advertising skills in case. Back to a regular cap, the automation and agents hat heading into next year. So before we get started on this one, automation, think of it as 2D, removing a human from a process, taking care of a very straightforward black and white task, if this, then that. When we talk about agents, it's a bit of a spectrum at the moment, but think of agents in terms of that spectrum as the difference between, on one end, you've got a car that you get in, and Google Maps is going to tell you exactly how to get from A to B. If you use Apple Maps, you're wrong. Let's just get that out there. If you use Google Maps, punch in A to B, it's going to tell you how to get there. It's going to let you know if there's a crash on the highway and potentially a shortcut. You're still going to have to choose if you want to take that shortcut. You're still going to have to push the pedals in, and you're still going to have to steer. On the other end of the spectrum, when it comes to agents, you've got the fully self-driving autonomous vehicles that you hop in, you tell it where you want to get to, you let it decide how it gets you there, which path it takes. Obviously you hope it obeys the speed limit and certain things like that. But that's a pretty 10-second explanation of the spectrum of agents are. The good thing is that nobody in Silicon Valley, well, good-ish, can currently agree on an accepted definition, universally accepted definition of AGI. So if you are feeling behind in that space, I don't blame you, and I will cut you some slack on that. Earlier this year, I was in Cleveland, Ohio, of all places, listening to some of the bigger wigs in AI. And whilst it's undeniable that the adoption of AI and automation as a hygiene factor in American businesses specifically far surpasses Australia, they're also very open that the pace of the industry that it's operating at is allowing a mix of actual practical solutions for businesses to win versus the tech giants who are overpromising and putting polish on things that aren't quite there yet to grab market share. We've been seeing this for the last 18 months. Every man and his dog who has a tech stack are getting email after email of our new AI feature, or jumping on a call from a sales rep saying our AI is great, but they don't know how to explain it or exactly what it does. So one thing that they do agree on in Silicon Valley is that people either massively over or underestimate what agents can do right now. So, what a time to try and build a business in this space. Lucky me. Most businesses already have some level of automation. If you have email filters set up, that is an automation. On the other hand, you might have a chat agent creating on-brand PDF proposals from a few bullet points that you converse with your agent about. Both are possible right now. We just installed the latter into one of our clients' businesses. So 2026 is going to bring a shift from AI assistants to AI executors and an alignment on common and proven, keyword, proven agent use cases. Instead of AI giving you a Monday morning summary of overdue deadlines, it's going to find the contact you're waiting on and chase them. Instead of quarterly reviews to identify common support tickets or customer support requests, your quarterly review is basically of solutions that AI has already built based on patterns. What's changed isn't capability, but the confidence gap. So AI has lowered the barrier to the point where people suddenly feel like automation was never that complex. It's not that the work got easier, it's that AI made everyone realize the walls to quality automation were mostly psychological. The brave, pun intended, will win in 2026 because automation budget isn't a short-term survival item. It's easy to deprioritize, I get that, but it is so necessary. Those who tackle the low-hanging fruit, think admin, think reporting, think scheduling, they're the ones who free up capacity for some pretty gnarly use cases. So one brand that we have worked with this year is now quantifying, because we help them quantify it, a measurable $50,000 more RPE. So RPE being revenue per employee year on year, thanks to, and the makeup of achieving that is 11 automations, 4 AI assistants. So pretty simple. And that's where we find the biggest wins is compounding mini use cases rather than spending 6 to 12 months on trying to build the bee's knees automation. That probably is not going to get off the ground. The automations in that example had a setup cost and an ongoing maintenance cost. Key thing being the ongoing maintenance cost is less than 1/20th of the cost of an hourly rate of the seniority of a team member who normally would be expected to do those tasks and processes. So talking about the talent hat heading into 2026. I am not a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. However, I'm a Hawfer merch and I went to a Cavs game earlier in the year and I thought the word talent is pretty synonymous with a young man who was once drafted to the Cleveland Cavs. If you know, you know. Anywho, Australia lacks deep AI talent pools compared to major markets. It is what it is. 2026 is going to bring a lot more wolves in sheep's clothing. Businesses with newfound AI service offerings or AI capability who have not invested a single dollar in talent or training. They simply just want a piece of the pie. Remember during COVID when Australia specifically had an immense talent shortage and juniors were thrust into $150,000, $200,000 salaries managing teams they weren't ready for and having senior in their title. Similar things are going to happen. So just be wary of, newfound titles from people trying to get inside your budget. So things like head of AI titles, because you will come across them. And I'm not trying to shit on anyone who finds themselves in that role. What I would be doing is just checking what their last role was, maybe asking some questions, uncovering some, if their baseline of AI literacy is north of yours. So it's a really good starting point. Speaking of, getting baseline AI literacy internally in your business is critical. We all know this, but think of it from the lens of your staff will be currently seeing ads for AI this and AI that, and you want them to pretty quickly identify if the ad or sales rep, if they're already on the demo stage, is full of shit. You want them confidently asking questions like, is it black box AI? Or if they're happy to share the model and give them a look under the hood. Secondarily to that, you also want your own army internally having the skills to not necessarily go and build crazy AI systems, but just understand what it's capable of and identify and improve processes inside your own business, or at least raise it up the chain. One that when they know what's possible, good things can happen. Some red flags to look out for in 2026 is training providers who lead with fear, or slides that are 99% about ChatGPT and it exists and how to use it. Like, cool story, bro. And lots of conceptual talk without showing the how. If you're paying for or booking a training that doesn't largely involve hands-on workshopping and here's exactly how to do things, I'd be asking some questions. You also need to be ready for the workforce because Gen Z are now largely in their mid 20s and they're AI natives. Yeah, mid 20s, right? I know. So if you are hiring, right, and it's a role where a Gen Z has applied, let's assume they have two offers, largely the same on paper, but company A, they've got paid LLM subscriptions across all the major LLMs. They do frequent AI upskilling and training. They reward AI, good AI use, and they tie it into their KPIs as to how to succeed at that company. Company B, stuck in 2020, has none of that. It's a pretty easy choice for that Gen Z candidate to go ahead. Now, yes, there's lots of other things that go into it, but just think of that. I think what you'll also start to see in the year to come is AI talent, or talent rather, split into AI disciplines. There's a lot of generalists out there at the moment, but if you break up AI into the buckets of language, vision, prediction, and automation, they will be the lanes people start to specialize in when it comes to earning a full-time wage on the back of AI. So just be a little bit wary of AI generalists. They're the ones that will talk to you until they're blue in the face that AI is coming and probably lead with fear. Start to consider AI specialists and which of those buckets makes the biggest difference for your business. Is it in the language, the vision, the prediction, or the automation? Not to say you can't do all, but be realistic. When we talk about looking through the lens or a hat, I honestly should have worn different colored contact lenses, the amount of said lenses here, of infrastructure in 2026. Most Australian businesses think that they lack the infrastructure for effective AI use. A lot of the conversations I've had this year with businesses have been around, oh, we need better systems, we need more resource, which is a little bit counterintuitive because that's what AI helps to alleviate. But they think they lack the infrastructure for effective AI use. So they're usually incorrect in that lane. You can outsource compute and most volume-based requirements of AI and automation. What's really tricky to outsource is fixing pre-AI broken workflows, processes and workflows that shouldn't exist in the first place. A lot of the time, people will want to improve via AI their manual process. If you haven't fully embraced AI and automation yet, don't. Not until you've done everything possible to ensure your current workflows are tight and should exist in the first place, because AI is going to 10x them, whether they are good or bad. Before making big bets on AI, review your tech stack. Review what AI capabilities each line item in that tech stack, what capabilities they bring to the table, because they all will. Review your expectations. If you're not using any CRM capability at the moment, don't expect AI to start pumping out 3 perfectly targeted emails weekly to segmented lists. It 100% can, but you don't have the internal spine for it yet. So, top tip here, get basics in place first, then explore the clever stuff that can go on top and help scale. Creativity hat for next year. I am a big fan of AI for creative work, but probably not how you think. Some of the best creative ideas don't come from creatives themselves, but from account managers, C-suite, or literally anyone without the ability to properly visualize their idea. AI enables a far improved briefing experience for creative executors. The barrier for someone who's never opened Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, Canva, whatever it may be, in their life, providing now a mock 3D model of what they want is so low. The ability to test all ideas or take and bring to life ideas from more people massively increases. I've just seen a ton, as you would have too, of Black Friday ads, clearly made with AI. Very obvious they were AI, and I loved it. It reflected teams outputting more than they could without it. do not get me wrong, 80% of those actual creatives were absolute garbage. And would those same brands lean on AI for major brand campaign outside of Q4 when they just need to pump and stroke the algorithm? Probably not. In 2026, more brands will lean on AI creative. What it gives is opportunity for human creatives to spend more time on the why, the meaning, the strategy, the so on, where, to be honest, they probably should be playing. The thing with AI creatives in 2026 is, especially when it comes to tools, all in one creative tool, probably not going to be good. If you have an animator in your team, there will be 5 or 6 AI animation tools that are absolute gold. And when they come to you asking for a subscription, consider it. It's going to speed up the amount of concepts that you get in your inbox pre-campaign. So just an idea. Think of it as AI is to creative what the spinning wheel was to pottery. It doesn't remove the artistry. It just makes shaping and building your ideas 100 times easier. This hat actually makes my head look so big. I mean, it is a big head, but interesting. Anyway, the competitive advantage hat, Stubbs Barbecue, shout out. I don't even know how they have competitors based on the quality and taste of their sauce. Good tang, good tang. But let's be real. You will never fully know how your competitors are using AI or its impact on their P&L. If you're starting your AI conversation with, how do we sell this? How do we monetize this? You are getting far too ahead of yourself. Focus purely on operational hygiene first. Get your own house in order. Using AI in 2026 won't be a competitive advantage. Everyone's using it. It's not a competitive advantage anymore. It's how you frame it, how you commercialize and market what your operational hygiene achieves. Say you implement an effective AI roadmap and your revenue per employee jumps, I don't know, let's say $30,000 in a year. Reverse engineer that to cutting your onboarding from 10 days to 4 days for your clients or your customers. Speed of delivery beats strategy decks every single time. In the e-commerce landscape, let's say you're a brand using an AI sizing agent trained on your return data that reduces returns by 15%. That is felt straight on your bottom line. So the competitive advantage, your proprietary data. All of your competitors have access to these same models. The difference is what data you bake into yours. We recently trained an AI assistant with conditional logic for peak season support, peak season support. They get thousands and thousands of inquiries and support tickets over this burst of kind of 2 months. We trained it on thousands of historical conversations and policies, and counting. It's up to roughly about 2,000 conversations in its first month, with less than 10% requiring escalation. You can do this too. This is all possible to you. You know what that has allowed them to do? The team that was handling those conversations to focus on better and more frequent organic content, not the aftermath of posting it. So how do you get there? It's not one big shiny AI project. It's the compounding effect of 50 tiny automations done consistently over 12 to 18 months, and then ideally in an ongoing sense. That's hard to copy, as is the speed that it enables. But again, it's how you package it up. It's how you take an automation you've done for your business or an AI integration you've done in your business, ideally part of the automation, and translate that into a customer benefit. Often, it comes down to speed of delivery or quality of customer service. So I just recorded this one and I thought I nailed it. And then I realized I didn't press record. So V2, the tool hat. Tools are subjective. They are contextual. I'm not going to give you a list of 50 because that's how people get distracted. The tool is not the point. Your capability is. LLM ecosystems are a really good place to start. So not the shiny wrappers that everyone has access to, but think the actual dev platforms behind them. Now, people get scared when they hear the word dev. I promise you this is not a scary place to go. You can go play in it. You won't break a thing. But if you go to OpenAI dev portal, plug in $20 of credit, get an API key, the things that unlocks for you is huge. You can effectively take the capability of what ChatGPT can do, but you can deploy it in a completely different place for a very hyper-specific purpose. That kind of thing will take you further than signing up for your 10th free trial of a tool you're likely not going to use and probably forget to disable auto renew and end up with big subscription bloat. Big fan of creating your own tools for hyper specific use cases because that's where actual leverage comes from. But if you do want shelf ready examples, and I know you all do, two really good places to start that will apply to you, hopefully, because people are typically either in Camp Microsoft or Camp Google for their internal work management. Microsoft Teams and Google Team Chat, effectively the same thing, just depending on kind of which side of the coin you're on. You have the ability right now to put agents inside those chats as their own standalone little chats. I'll give you an example. In Microsoft Teams, you can have or build an agent that will create a document for you based on chatting with it and save it in a very predetermined location inside your SharePoint or OneDrive and link you back to it. You can do that on your branded guidelines, whether it's a PowerPoint or an Excel file or whatever it may be. What you choose to get it to do, completely up to you. The world's your oyster. Google has similar function. It's just a little bit more duct tapey at the moment to get it happening, whereas Microsoft's is very native to their platform. But you can do both right now. If you are interested in that, upskill someone internally or talk to an agency like Brave, shameless plug. The leverage in that simple use case is massive. And also, call me crazy, but I've never understood the hype around Slack. Like, no bad blood to Slack, but yeah, never really got it. The thing that most companies don't need is more tools. They simply need their systems to talk to each other. So automation platforms like Make.com, N8N, and Zapier is honestly where the real magic is. One automation we recently built for a team saved 4 hours per week for someone in that team by simply stitching two dusty legacy systems together with a Make.com scenario. Wasn't hard, but the leverage was huge. No new software, just simple, better wiring. If an LLM is one step of your automation, depending on how many tools you want to connect together and how many parts of your tech stack you want talking to each other and conditional logic in between, if this, then that. If an LLM is one step of your automation, you've gone from an automation to a workflow, which is awesome. If you then let it decide on non-deterministic tasks, you've gone from a workflow to an agent, which is unreal. Congratulations. For the punters, though, a few niche tools worth watching heading into 2026. And by no means is this a gospel. It's not a checklist, just some ones that might warrant you checking them out. Meshy AI is a tool where you can create 3D models from 2D static images. So you can effectively use that in a myriad of use cases. You can think of what you might use that for. But a good thing is character consistency. We see a lot of AI-generated images fall over when people try and create the second scene or the third scene or whatever it may be. Napkin AI, you've likely heard of this one already, but turning text into infographics. They've just released a new update, which is unreal. So definitely recommend exploring that for visually presenting your information in a way that people can understand within seconds. AEO tools are coming thick and fast. SEMrush has their own area where you can investigate LLM visibility, but a couple of others that are really interesting to look at would be Writesonic and Conductor AI for AEO, GEO. Reedy and Lovable for concept development, Appify for data scrapers, and Hugging Face for general AI apps. Honestly, go to Hugging Face, search in what you're trying to do, and there's probably likely someone that's built an AI app for it. Hard truth when it comes to tools, if you don't upskill or invest in Make.com or N8N or Zapier or something similar, your blinkers are going to stay on. You're going to keep chasing tools instead of building capability. And in 2026, capability beats tool hoarding every single day of the week. The 2026 hat. So looking at things pretty holistically. Get an AI budget line item. That's not me hoping you give it to me. That's absolutely not what I'm saying there. But so many businesses do not have a single dollar dedicated to AI and or automation. Too often, internal teams debate who should pay. This leads to big delays or even icing projects. It's often seen as a capex investment rather than opex expenditure. It will eventually become a hygiene factor in OPEX. So if you want to get ahead, you might as well start small and get it there now. It doesn't have to be tens of thousands of dollars. Just get people conditioned to expect AI isn't free. If you were to build it yourself, you would still have to pay credit to whether it's OpenAI or whichever company you're using as a catalyst to build a lot of your AI capabilities upon. The luxury, however, that Australian businesses have is being in an incredibly risk-averse market, which prolongs your runway before being forced to catch up. If you're in that camp, 2026 is going to shine a light on it, making waves with your talent, speed to delivery of your product and service, your capacity, your RPE, so your revenue per employee, and ultimately your bottom line. It's one of those things where if you don't do AI, so to speak, you're probably going to continue business as normal for a decent chunk of time, years, if not a decade, especially here in Australia. If you embrace it, the upside is massive. The embracing it and getting it wrong, as long as you're doing it in a pretty guardrailed environment, you end up back where you started. So if you think of it like that, what do you have to lose? Sure, you need to be really smart with where you invest and which processes and how you choose to leverage AI to begin with. But I would highly, highly recommend to round all that out. Just get an AI budget line item. Get your expectations right too. Tighten workflows before introducing AI. Look at compounding mini implementations rather than trying to deliver one massive shiny project. Use revenue per employee as your baseline quantifiable metric for whether efforts are working over time, typically on an annualized basis. Don't look at RPE on a monthly basis, and definitely don't compare it month on month, which avoids seasonality and a lot of other things. Jump on LLM ads as an early adopter, whatever form they take. Early adopter status will sing the same song as every early advertising platform over the years. Ridiculously cheap CPCs and CPMs, if that is the efficiency metric as to which they're bought. But something you can start doing is start logging every time you or your team complain about specific tasks. That's honestly your AI and automation initial hit list for 2026. The AI reality hat for Australian businesses. So, something no one tells you about AI transformation is it looks far, far less like a revolution and very heavily like an evolution. The companies that are winning aren't the ones with huge projects still waiting to be wireframed and debating over who's paying for it. They're the ones who started fixing their Tuesday 2:15 problem and kept going onto their 4 p.m. problem and eventually deleting some of these problems out of their day as recurring headaches. The reality is most businesses are sitting on minimum 50, hand over heart, minimum 50 to upwards of 100 hours of weekly inefficiency that has nothing to do with AI capability and everything to do with organizational inertia. That's how we've always done it, is costing you more than any technology gap. Your biggest AI challenge won't be the technology, I can guarantee you that. It'll be the middle manager who's built their career on being the only person in the business who knows how to run that report. It'll be the team that's comfortable with their 4-hour Friday routine. And I'm not saying get rid of that, but cultural adoption is a very big piece of this. It'll be you when you realize AI means changing processes you've defended for years. The truth is, AI doesn't replace jobs, it replaces the excuse for busy work. And that terrifies people who have been confused, who have over the years confused being busy with being valuable. The key thing is time redeployment. Again, this should happen right at the start before you look into AI a process or automate a process. Is how are you going to redeploy that time? Because humans by nature will fill their day and say that they're busy and they're filling their 8 hours, depending on, regardless of how much they actually have to do. Something you can do ahead of 2026, just count how many times this week someone says, "Oh, I didn't have time for that." Every single one of those is an automation opportunity, but only if you're brave enough to admit that busy isn't a badge of honor anymore. The gap between AI leaders and laggards won't be measured in technology. It'll be measured in, and not to get too philosophical here, but honestly, the courage to admit your processes are broken, your workflows are wasteful, and your that's not how we do things is what's killing your revenue per employee from increasing. And the only lever you have to grow your business is hiring more people.